3 p.m., so it is officially that start time for Venture Cafe. I want to welcome everybody who's joining us from afar. My name is Shaheen Hakimi. I'm the Senior Program Manager here at Venture Cafe. Few ground rules from the top. Please keep yourself on mute unless otherwise prompted by the instructor. And you can use the chat box at the bottom of your screen to drop in any questions, and we'll get to them in the order as we best can. I'd like to introduce our presenter for today, Angela Pitter. Angela is the founder and CEO at LiveWire Collective, a digital marketing consultancy. Angela is a highly sought after speaker who has recently been featured on Chronicle's WCVB TV social media segment, and she knows everything you need to know to get through LinkedIn, social media, and creating your and furthering your business. So without further ado, Angela, please take it away.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen here. Well, let me just do it this way. And let me minimize this and get it out of my way here. So welcome to Expand Your Authority Now with the Power of LinkedIn. Thank you, Sean, for inviting me to be here today and inviting me to talk to your audience all about LinkedIn. And that is what we're going to do for the next 45 minutes. So I'd like to know who's in the audience, and what I want to do is sort of launch that first poll. Let's see if we can get that going. Wait a minute, what happened to my screen here? Let me stop share. All right, I have to stop share to launch the poll. Okay, so the poll is now launching, and just let me know who you are. I want to know who's in the audience. If you're a startup, if you're consulting, you're marketing, if you have a business development role. Is everybody seeing the poll? Yep, great. So just go ahead, take your time and identify yourself. I like to know who I'm talking to. HR, nonprofit, and if you have something totally different that I missed, just go ahead and just write that in the chat. Something says the submit button's not working. So you're only answering question 1. It might be, yeah, you know, why don't you do this, guy? Just this poll wasn't set up correctly. So I'm just going to stop the poll, and just go ahead and just write it in the chat, your role.
So what I'll do from the back end, Angela, is launch each poll individually.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I'll go to the next one about the custom headline or title.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and get that one working, and
sure thing.
Just see if everybody can just write in there in the chat what they're doing these days. And at the same time, the other thing is, why don't you just go ahead and tell me about your LinkedIn challenges, or if you want to come off mute and tell me that, that'll be fine as well. So we got a bunch of startups, someone's job hunting for sales, startup development, freelance, nonprofit. Okay, cool. Yoga, nice. Anybody else want to share anything else? And then also, like I mentioned, let me know what are your challenges with LinkedIn, and I'm assuming everybody is on LinkedIn right now. And if you're not, let me know you're not. So go ahead and write that in the chat as well. I got a photographer here, cool. Designer, all right. Need to work on my profile. So we're definitely how to go from connecting to live conversation. Okay. Building genuine relationships. Yeah. Connections that reduce collaborations instead of likes. Okay. All right. We got a lot to go on here. New to LinkedIn. Okay. Finding a mentor. All right. Well, we are going to talk about connections as well. So today our agenda is just going to talk about, how do you use LinkedIn to tell your story, no matter what your role is. There's a lot of opportunity in LinkedIn to really customize it for your audience. And then, of course, once you're able to tell your story and people can find you, now how you're going to connect and discover people and engage with them. And then we'll have some final closing thoughts. So I always loved LinkedIn's mission statement to connect the world's professionals and make them more productive and successful. It's quite an exciting platform ever since Microsoft bought them. And I think that was 2016. And it's been growing by leaps and bounds ever since. It's almost near 700 million members right now. And as you can see, most of them are outside of the United States, and 50 million plus companies, and as well as plenty of job opportunities on the platform. But today we're really going to focus on those three things, starting with how do you tell your story. And on LinkedIn, telling your story is about managing your brand, which includes, do you have a photo, a professional photo? Do you have a branded headline? Do you have a branded about? Do you have all of your experience included there? Do you include skills and endorsements, your education, your interests? Recommendations are key, and definitely lots and lots of connections. And I'm going to come back to that point. And when you have all of this, then you are considered an all-star. And I always throw in the extra credit for publications and projects, because there's a lot of things we do that might not necessarily fit in nicely packaged. So, I mean, a lot of us, you know, we're freelancers and we do more than one thing. And it's hard sometimes to tell your story and integrating all of that, but you have the opportunity to showcase all those extra things with the publications and projects section. But first, we got to get recognized. And the reason why the photo is so important is because LinkedIn's own statistics tell you if you have a good profile and a good photo, you're going to be found 21 times more. You're going to be messaged 36 times more, and you'll get 9 times more connection requests. But it's not a friends and family system. It is a professional system. So you do not want to have photos with you and the family, or I've seen folks with their dogs or their cats. That's cute for Facebook and Instagram, but this is not Facebook. This is LinkedIn. And you also don't want to have this type of photo, sort of the body shot, which is great for your background. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But what you really want is to have the headshot. You want to fill the frame with your face. So you really just kind of want the top of your shoulders, because, you know, the frame also is just within a circle. Can you see how much more background is removed when they add that profile circle? And then you want a really awesome background. This is like, you know, think about this as the billboard. When you're driving down the street, you see those billboards, those advertising billboards. This is where you can really start talking and showcasing your branding. So if you're a musician, you should have a photo of you sort of, you know, gigging, you know, in action. You know, you should, you know, if you're a business, your website could be up there, your tagline could be up there. If you're looking for speaking opportunities, you should show yourself speaking. So this is really where, you know, the first brandable moment becomes after they see your photo. This photo here we're looking at, this is, you know, this gal here, Colette, she works at Staples. She's in business development, and they were showcasing all their new studio space. So that is why her background is featuring all of the different shots of the Staples studio. If you're an author, you definitely want to include your books. And, you know, again, you know, racial bias, unconscious bias is a big topic these days. So, you know, you want to feature that as well. And, you know, finally, if you're a scientist, you too can also brand. And, you know, it's those photos in action that are really cool and people love to see and get noticed. Now, the next part is the headline, and the headline is not a title. Often what you find here is that people just use their job titles as their headline. And then a lot of times the reason that actually happens is because when you add your experience to your LinkedIn profile, there's a little box there that's automatically checked that says, do you want this title to be your headline? And you have to uncheck the box. And people pretty much don't notice that. So in fact, what happens is now you become attorney at, you know, Danger Law, or you're assistant professor, or you're executive director, is because you didn't uncheck that box. What you really want to have is a custom headline. So I'm going to launch the next poll. Let's see if it's ready. So you're going to tell me if you have just a title or do you have something else? Do you have a custom headline? And we got 41 people here, so 65% have answered. Yeah. All right, it's almost half-half. Let's see, I'm going to give you another second or so. Never noticed the box, huh, Monica? All right, I'm just going to head end the poll. It looks like, okay, it's not quite 50-50, but almost, you know, some of you have the title, some of you have the custom headline. So I'm hoping that by the time we finish here, that you're all going to have a custom headline, because that's where the money is. So these two examples right here is, you know, you have this guy who's, you know, consultant, venture capital, biotech, digital health. These are all keywords. So all of this, everything in your profile, starting with your headline, is all searchable. The other great thing I should point out is his name, you know, including these designations, MD, you know, Mary Beth over here, MBA. If you have any credentials, PMP, include those as part of your name. But also, again, what are those keywords for your industry that are searchable that you know people would be searching to find you? So this is one way to approach it, is, you know, having sort of a list of keywords here. If you look at Mary Beth's example here, she's more kind of starting to really tell a story here. Orchestrate business innovation that keeps life sciences companies on the cutting edge of their science. Another example here, you got Carlos, and it's almost sort of a hybrid of both. So he still, again, has the keywords best-selling author. And again, if you're an author, I always encourage you to include it as part of your background, especially if it's recently released or a relaunch. Keynote speaker, always a good thing to have in your headline, especially if you're looking for new speaking opportunities. And award-winning, a lot of people use that, digital storyteller and social media consultant. Again, those searchable keywords. And then you finally have D, who's like one of those, she has multiple businesses, so she's really trying to combine a bunch of things in her headline. So she's founder of this new app, More Plan Do. Talks about the app helping you to organize your ideas, but she's also a business strategist. She's also a recruitment and staffing advisor. She does a podcast, et cetera, et cetera. You actually only have 120 characters for your headline. The way you get around that is by using the app. So when you use the LinkedIn app, you could actually double the amount of characters. So if you need a couple of more characters to really make the statement, definitely then go to the LinkedIn app. But just know, if you do that, once you get back to your laptop, if you make any edits, those changes won't be there. I mean, you won't be able to save it. You'll have to always go back to the app and make those updates. So really, for the best practices for your headline, you got to think about why you, what's going to separate you from the other million people on LinkedIn, who's your audience. It's good to include that, because even though, like example with Carlos with social media, but maybe he has a particular vertical that he works with. So definitely make sure that's included. And if you can, include some outcomes. If you would, you know, recently awarded, you know, if you were a salesperson and you were awarded, you know, top 10 sales award, you know, include all of that in your headline, because the idea is this is where you're going to start to separate yourself from the pack. So this is a former client, Merle, and you know, you can see, but before she had the generic, no background, even the picture was out of focus here. The title for the headline. So when we went and kind of worked on it more, you know, we really kind of, you know, looked at the colors and the graphics, her branding from her website. She was getting ready to launch a new workshop, and including that in her background, adding a better photo that's in focus and including a nice, interesting headline. So that's kind of the reason why those three components are so important. But really, this fourth component, the branded summary, which is now called the about, is just as important, because this is where you actually now have 2,600 characters to really tell your story. So, you know, this was her original about, I mean, and it was really kind of plain. I mean, she did talk about her leadership programs at Tufts. She did talk about her key competency, but this is really where you get to actually now go in and tell your story. So you want to use these 6 ingredients that I love this article from William Arruda, where he talks about sort of the victories, you know, those big wins, the validations, those testimonials from your clients, the superpowers that you have, the things you do better than anybody else, and definitely the vital statistics. So those are the, you know, I saved the company $200,000, you know, something like that. Any kind of numbers are really good to include in your summary. So if you look at Merle now, I mean, her about looks more like this. You know, she starts out with a great, you know, go for it. I live in the go for it moment. So she kind of starts talking about sort of her value propositions. She talks about who her clients are, her life science organizations. Then she includes a testimonial. Again, you want to share that validation, the victories, saving $250,000, hundreds of hours, clients, again, when you look at the list of clients, you know, that's thought-provoking, and as well as finally a call to action, because in the end of the day, when somebody sits here and reads your about statement, you need to give them that next step. What do you want them to do? So email me, go visit my website, learn more about whatever, you know, give them a link. And then you can add some additional specialties, because all that's great keywords and SEO for you. And then how we have Mary Beth, you know, similarly, again, we saw her headline prior, but her about statement I thought was quite interesting, and that's why I included it here. She's a little bit of different format, and you'll see this often on LinkedIn. Some people use this format, and it's like what we do, what makes us different, what others say, and then she has some next steps with her call to action. It's not a bad format. I like a little bit more personality, so it's really up to you. There's never no one way to do anything. So Cecilia asks, you know, sometimes I think if the summary is too long, people will not read it. Do recruiters really go through it all? They may and they may not. Again, if I think it's just as long as it's interesting. And that's really the key. I mean, the same question about I get with about videos. How long should my video be? Well, your video should be as long as it's interesting. And if it's not interesting, even if it's 30 seconds, people won't watch it anymore. So you really just want to make sure that you're making a statement to get, you know, get everybody interested in you, which is why I kind of like the story. People pay more attention to story than they do to anything else. So that's what you might want to think about. So moving along, let me see. Thank you, Cecilia. Okay, so, you know, again, those are your key branding elements: the photo, the profile photo, the background photo, the headline, and your about. And now I'm going to move into part 2, which is all about discovery, building those networking strategies, how we use university pages, and how you're going to quickly expand your connections. So I like to say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So I'm going to stop here because I do want to launch this poll. And I want to understand what your connection strategy is. Do you think about when you're on LinkedIn connecting with everyone? Are you just connecting with the people you know? Or do you have some type of hybrid? You do a little bit of both, or you have some other strategy? So let's see here, 50% have voted. All right, Monica says she's inconsistent. I connect if I know them. All right, I'm gonna give it another second. Almost 80% have answered here. All right, I'm gonna stop the polling. So most of you have some other strategy. So we can see what that is. So some people like connect with everyone, 20%. only people I know, 34%. So, and then somebody has every percent. And I'm thinking the other probably is a combination of the above. So let's take a closer look at that. So number one, you definitely are going to connect with the people you know. That's an obvious one, right? All the colleagues, your business partners, people in your community, advocates, networking acquaintances. Everyone here should be throwing in their LinkedIn URL in the chat box and connecting with each other. You're going to connect with your alumni and definitely friends and family. So while you're not going to have pictures of friends and family on your profile, you are definitely going to connect with friends and family. Because I always like to tell everybody, you know, Uncle Johnny, he lives in an affluent neighborhood. The CEO, his neighbor is a CEO of a company that you're interested in doing business with. Uncle Johnny's connected to the CEO. So of course you're going to ask Uncle Johnny to make that introduction, right? And you can do it, you know, obviously in person, but you could also be connected on LinkedIn because you want that connection. Because I tell people it's always about the network because your network is your net worth. So you want a quality network. And university pages, I think people underestimate university pages. Alumni, tapping into the alumni from your university is a great way to make connections. And I'm going to show you, this is the first way tool you can use to search on LinkedIn. So I went to Boston University. There's over 200,000 alumni, BU alumni on LinkedIn. 80,000 of them are in the Boston area. So if I'm pretending that I want to connect with someone from State Street, let me look at my alumni folks that are at State Street so I can sort it this way. So once you're in the alumni page, you can do that. And notice now it went from 200,000 people to 384 people. And then I can say, oh, I'm specifically looking for the folks in the IT department. Now that then whittles down to another 53 people. And then when you scroll down to the bottom of that, you can see who you are connected to that you may want to reach out to. This gal popped up where I had 48 shared connections. So that's a quick way to figure out if there's someone from your alumni. And I like to do alumni first because I find that they're the most giving individuals. So if you reach out to someone that was an alumni, even if it wasn't the same year or even the same decade that you attended the school, that they're always almost 100% of the time. I've never had anybody say no to make an introduction for you. The other thing I want to know about is how many connections do you have? Because the thing with the connection strategy is that you can't, if you rely on just connecting with people you know, it's going to be hard to expand your network. And LinkedIn is all about the numbers, my friends. You do have to expand your pool. And the faster you do that, the better results that you're going to get. So let me see where you guys are with the number of connections that you currently have. Okay, 63% have voted. All right, we're at the 80% mark. So let's see. All right, so majority of you are in that 500 to 1,000 space, and there's a very few 3% that are over 5,000, 10%. I actually would say on LinkedIn, the sweet spot is at least this 2,500 to 5,000 number. But let me just check what's in the chat here. I read previously that you should try and keep about 500 and keep your list active, curated. Yeah, so no, that's not the number, my friend. It's definitely not 500. Here's my rule. Take your age and multiply it by 25. That's the minimum number of people you should be connected to on LinkedIn. Because the older you are, the more people you know, so therefore the more people you should be connected to. So at a minimum, what you could do here really quickly, pro tip 6, to grow your contacts is to upload your email. because you probably have way more connections in your email than you're connected to on LinkedIn. And you probably actually want to export that email file first and then just upload it as a CSV file, you know, because you want to take out all of the spammers and all of that and clean it up pretty good. And then what will happen is LinkedIn will do a match. So if on LinkedIn, they have the same email that you have in your email, on your email, then it'll find them and it'll say, it'll give you the option to connect with them if you're not already connected. Obviously, if they're using a different email, it won't work, but this is the very fastest way to at least connect with all the people you already know, which I would bet 10 to 1, you're not connected to everybody you know that's on LinkedIn. So now we're moving along into engaging with your network. So once you've done the first two things, right? You've beefed up the profile, you've done all your connections. Now you need to engage with everybody. And engaging is not only about you going out there and posting, but more about you actually engaging, which means that when stuff shows up in your news feed from your connections, you need to start commenting on it. You need to start liking on it. You know, if it's something really interesting, you know, definitely share it back out to your audience. And, you know, even giving them endorsements and recommendations. To make interesting posts, you need to do things like include photos. And if you do a photo gallery, you know, 4 photos or more, you're going to get way more engagement than when you do 1 photo. When you tag people or you're using hashtags, again, you're going to get way more engagement than when you don't. So I would always tell people to, especially if you're at an event or you're talking about, you know, congratulating somebody, definitely tag them. Tag their company name if they happen to have a company page on LinkedIn, because that also helps as well. So the mentions are really important. That's why I have that there as a pro tip there. How much time should I be spending on LinkedIn? I would say you should be on LinkedIn every single day. And you're not on there every single day posting, although you should probably post 5 times a week. But you should be on there because you need to be doing the engagement piece every single day. So again, looking at the stuff that's coming through your news feed and interacting with it is really key, especially the comments. The comments is really what gets people's attention. People live for comments. I mean, it's easy to just like all day long, but when you put comments in, you really get a lot more attention. So last final poll here. How many of you actually are using all of these other LinkedIn features? So not just hashtags, how many of you are posting with photos or videos or using the documents or using all of them? Okay, about half of you responded. So for our own, the majority is text updates. Well, I hope by the end of this, I am going to change your mind about that. I am going to talk about videos and hashtags and how to use them. All right, we're almost at that 80% mark. All right, I'm going to stop the poll right here. So most of you are really doing plain text updates. Some of you are including hashtags. Some of you are doing photos, and there are, 18% here. Well, 6 of you are actually doing all types of content here, which is great. So let's talk content. Hashtags. So you should be using 1 to 3 hashtags in your post all the time, because hashtags are completely searchable in LinkedIn. Content gets picked up by hashtags, just like it does on Twitter, is the same as it does on Instagram, but it's not Instagram in that you're putting 15, 30 hashtags. You're not going to do that. On LinkedIn, 1 to 3 is fine. And if you want to find content, it's also a great way for you. If you're thinking about, You know, if you are, say you're a leadership coach and you want to find other leadership content to reshare, this is a great way to do that. Just, you know, if you type leadership development here, first of all, you can follow hashtags the same way you're able to do on Instagram, and then it'll build you a feed of all of the content with that hashtag in it. And you can kind of scroll down and see what's popular and what people are reacting to. So that's one way to use hashtags. Another way, I know everybody here has been to an annual conference, maybe they're all online now, but regardless of whether they're online, there's always an associated conference hashtag. So if nothing else, when you're at an event, you want to be using the hashtag when you're posting about the event. And on LinkedIn, you could be posting, I call it the before, during, and after strategy. So before the conference, you say, hey, I'm going to be either I'm presenting at that conference or I'm going to be attending at that conference. If you're presenting, I'm presenting blah, blah, blah. Hope to see you at my workshop. Otherwise, I'm attending the conference. Who else is out there attending? Reach out to me. Maybe we could all get together. Is a way to sort of actually start meeting conference attendees before you attend the conference. I mean, a lot of these conferences, I remember I used to go to mass conference for women, 10,000 women. There's no way you're going to be able to sort of network with those type of numbers. But by getting it out on LinkedIn ahead of time, you can potentially attract the right people. And then if you're speaking at the event, again, you could post again about how you had a great time, or you had a great time at a particular workshop and you tag the workshop presenter. And in fact, if you were attending that workshop and you knew ahead of time you really wanted to connect with the workshop leader, is to reach out to them on LinkedIn again ahead of time. And then finally, post-conference, you could also, again, use some of that content and post about it, and using the conference hashtag once again, and mentioning people. There's ways to use hashtags on LinkedIn. So this is sort of the before, during, and after conference strategy. The other thing is video. Videos work really, really well on LinkedIn. You don't want to link to YouTube or Vimeo. What you want to do is upload the native footage. Horizontal is really best on LinkedIn. You can upload up to 10 minutes. You don't need 10 minutes. I mean, you could just do a quick teaser. But if it is more of a how-to video, or if maybe you're at a conference and you're doing a quick interview, you know, 5 minutes is good, but you have 10 minutes. So there's no excuse. It's easy to do videos. You can do them on your phone. You can send video messages. If you want to get someone attention, if you're in sales, start thinking about sending video messages. Real easy tool to use. The other easy tool is documents. Documents is where it's at. If you want to get real good organic reach on your posts, you should be either doing videos or doing documents. And of course, including hashtags with all of those posts. I mean, this document here that I posted over and over again on LinkedIn has been viewed over 11,000 times. And it's just a checklist. All of you have some kind of document that you can put together, a case study, any PDF or even a PowerPoint works fine. And what's nice about it, I think one of the reasons it gets so much organic reach is because, especially if it's a regular PDF, it opens up portrait mode. So it opens up very large in the news feed, so it's very noticeable. And then people can actually enlarge it even more, and they can download it. So if you've been, you know, doing old school stuff, if you're working for a nonprofit and they do a lot of mailings, you can start using this document feature instead on LinkedIn. So I'm going to stop share for a second. Let me just check if I have any questions here in the chat. Oh yeah, so Elizabeth, I agree with that. I'm not with replying to invites without a message. I definitely do want people to include some type of personal message, which is one of the other reasons why you want to, you know, beef up your about statement. So they know what you're interested, they know what you want to do and why it makes sense for them to connect with you. So hopefully they've done their homework before they reached out. I'm posting, Demetria says, I'm posting all types of mediums, but I'm not consistent. I'm not sure what to post. I'm a voice actor. Oh, yeah, privacy. So, I mean, again, you probably have some type of speaker reel. And so I would put something together like that, because that's the one thing also on LinkedIn. Actually, let's hop over there right now. Sorry about that. Let me end this and get out of here. So they have this feature section. So everybody should have it by now. Earlier in the year, it was being rolled out, but I'm pretty sure everybody has it by now. But you can add documents to this. You can, here you can't upload a native video. You do have the link. However, if you posted a video native on LinkedIn, it also lets you include your post. So this here is a poll I started, and you can add, if you click those three dots here, you can, it's on my feature. Now I would have to remove it, but this is how you would add a post that's interesting, that you also want to get more organic reach. So you posted a document, you can also do that, add it to features here, and then documents. So let me just show you while I'm in here. I have to go back to the profile screen. I just want you all to see how documents are opening up so large. And make sure you all connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm going to drop in. But you see, I was running a LinkedIn challenge, and this is why I talk about how big it shows in your feed. It's a PDF, and I can just keep scrolling. And if I click on these square here, it opens it up. And if you can see at the top here, that's the download. So somebody can actually then download that PDF. So that's what's cool, what I really like about the documents. So let me grab my URL here. I'm gonna drop in here and send me a little message that you connected with me on this. And so we are now wrapping this up. So just to recap, get found, you want a photo, a great background, a great headline, and a branded about. For discovery, check out university pages, and definitely think about syncing your contacts. Actually, I'm gonna show you where you do that. I forgot, I should have. And then don't forget to use dimensions, the hashtags, the videos, the documents, and the polling feature. That I didn't talk about that, but that is a new, I'm gonna just show you the post of the poll that you just went through. You wanna make sure that you use all of the new stuff. So LinkedIn now allows you to create a poll. So I created this poll about, you know, types of contents that you might wanna use. So then I'm going to also grab that link and drop it in the chat, and you can respond to the poll too. And while I'm here, let me just show you where you go to. So you go to My Network if you want to upload your contacts. And because I've done this before, I see that I see this contact imported already. You won't see this, but you will see the more options. And that's what you want to do anyway. And then that's where you actually can drop in your email or upload a file to then sync your contacts. So bonus, I also have a 14-day challenge that I've done before. If you want, I'm going to just actually drop that link in here as well. It's done on Facebook, but basically it was 14 days of walking through every part of your profile that I really skimmed through here today. Ooh, what happened here? I'm not sure what happened there. So you can check that out as well. And let me see if I missed any questions in the chat. Is it a good idea to upload your chat, my list clues? And that's why you extract, Monica. That's why you want to actually export it. So then you could take out the people like the plumber and the grandma and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then really have a clean list that you then upload. So let's just get back to the last screen here. So if any other questions, let me know. But in closing, make sure you complete your profile, connect, and you want you to be posting. Don't forget to include LinkedIn on your email signature. And if you connect with me, also ask me about my LinkedIn chat list, and I'll be happy to share that with you. So if there's any final questions, you go ahead and unmute yourself, and then I can hear from you.
Angela, that was a really good presentation. Thank you. So thorough and informative. So there's a lot of things that we can use from here as well as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
I was sifting through the chat box. I saw a few good ones, and I'm gonna read them out to you so that you can just answer, and I'll do the back end work.
Okay? All right, and I'll put that last slide back up for you.
Awesome.
All right.
A question that we have from the audience is, what is the fine line being too personal and still professional on LinkedIn? Do you have any thoughts on that one?
A fine line being too personal and professional. I mean, I always, sort of lead with the professional, right? And that's, again, if you do your homework, because again, not a lot of people put a lot of time into updating the about section and doing that type of work. But if they are active on LinkedIn, and that's actually a telltale sign of whether the person reaching out to you is a spammer or not. You can see if they have any activities. A lot of people, they call themselves lions, and they're trying to get 10,000, connections or whatever. I usually stay away from those people, but LinkedIn has that activity box. And if they haven't been doing any activity, you haven't even liked anything, that activity box won't be there. So if you go to their profile and you don't see the activity box, they're pretty much probably more of a stalker. But I think you could be personal if you really have a relationship with them, right? But I would say for the most part, kind of stick to the business conversation.
Good to know that.
If that makes sense.
No, I do get that.
Okay.
So another question. Cecilia said that sometimes I think that if the summary is too long in my profile, it won't be read. Do recruiters actually go through all that?
So I think recruiters probably read it more than anybody else. I remember somebody telling me once they got called and all they read was their LinkedIn profile. They never even asked them for a resume. I mean, so there'll probably also be recruiters on the opposite side, which kind of skip through it. But I think that's why it's important to have, sort of that concrete piece up front between the headline and that first paragraph of your summary. And, get those wins, those victories out front, right up at the top. And then, it's, they may or may not read the rest of it, but make sure you get the big stuff right up front. Right.
So LinkedIn naturally consists of weak ties. They're not people that you're directly linked to. So when you reach out to them, what's your take on the opening statement, "Hope you're well," or do you rather people just get cut right to the point?
No, so I think you got to ease into it. So I think, that's why you got to do your homework. You got to go to their profile. One, you can see if you're connected with other people, have any people in common. You can see what they posted, what they're reacting to. So what type of content they're looking at and what type of content they're posting. And then you could start a conversation that way, especially if maybe they're posting a blog that they wrote themselves. And you can say, "Oh, I saw your blog and I was interested for blah, 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 blah." Make some type of connection with them. If you were an alumni, then say, "Hey, we both went to BU, we both went to MIT, both went to Harvard." Connect to them somehow based on what's in their profile that will get their attention. Right. So like Jim, I met you at the Venture Caf last night. Thought we should connect here. If you went to a networking event, definitely, get home and start connecting. you should be connecting during the event live. I mean, if we were doing, if we had a live event, we were doing, there's a feature on the app called Fi Nearby, and we would all be connected right now with that. It's a cool tool.
So I really do want to take this opportunity to open it up to the audience for anyone who wants to take themselves off mute to ask their question live. Anybody out there? In the meantime, while people gather their thoughts, I'm going to have one last question for you, Angela, and that's how do I use LinkedIn to find sponsors for my events? And that's a question I would like to ask you as well.
So yeah, so you go about it the same way you would go about as a job search, because typically you would have sort of a sponsor list, companies identified. So for example, say you wanted Google. You wanted Google, you're in Cambridge, you know, Google's there. I would start searching Google. And so you go to do a search. Well, you know what? Why don't we just do it? I gotta stop this thing here. All right, here we go. So you're gonna do a people search, and then you're gonna go to all filters, open that thing up, click, Google's right there. Click Google, first and second, because again, the third connection is the connections of your second connection. So that's a little bit far off. And then you got to think about a title. And this is where the guessing game comes in. So actually, they may have social responsibility, or it could be community engagement or social impact or program manager or something like that could be in the title. It's a bit of a guessing game, but you have to guess at a title. And then you hit apply. And actually, the other thing you should do is location. I gotta move my screen out the way here. And let's put Boston, because, you know, say you definitely want to connect with someone in Google in your office. And then you hit apply and see what happens. Voila. So Jonah comes up, one result, and site program manager Google. So I would be reaching out to him and say, hey, Venture Caf, you know, we're here right in your neck of the woods. And I know you, and the other thing is, depending on the company, some companies actually have a separate foundation. So I don't know if Google does that as well. Like Constant Contact, I believe, has a separate foundation, and you would try and reach out to the foundation. So you would search for on the foundation and not the company name itself. Mm-hmm.
These are excellent tips and tricks. Okay.
Any questions? Any other questions?
How often would you recommend changing your profile photo?
Not that often. I mean, you know, I love when I go to profiles and photos. I always check people out online before when I'm back in the days when we actually used to meet people for coffee. And I used to love when they had the photos up that were from 10, 20 years ago. So when they walk into the coffee shop, you can't even recognize them. So as long as the photo looks like you, I say you're good to go.
Hi, Angela. What's the best way to generate sales leads through LinkedIn?
So again, you got to be careful. You have to. It's all about building a relationship first. So again, you know, like anything else, you have your hit list, and you got to sort of kind of figure out, you know, how can I connect with them? What's their pain point? And just kind of go about reaching out to them that way. I mean, think about how you can help them before you start asking them to help you. What else we got? So don't forget, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn.
Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for all these tips. And my question is, I am doing a full-time search, so I'm trying to be open for recruiters, but I have also sort of the contract consulting side. So I've been trying to figure out, how do I optimize LinkedIn to say I'm open, this is what I'm looking for full-time, but hey, if you need short-term help, this is what my skill set is. So what are your suggestions there?
So, but even the short-term assistant are still the skills you're using for a full-time position, right?
Not
Or-
exactly.
No?
There's some difference. So that's part of my struggle is,
Okay.
some of what I offer short-term, I am not fully sure if I want to do that long-term. And,
Okay.
and so I'm just trying to figure out what is the best way to make LinkedIn work in this dual situation.
So I would say forward looking, the full-time job. So make your about focus on that. But in your headline, you could probably put a mix of both. And that's also a good place to, another reason to use projects. So projects, you can talk about some of that other, again, short-term work that you've done that you're still willing to do, but not long-term.
Okay, so just to make sure, you're saying the about section, try to put more what I'm looking for full-term.
Yep, long-term,
Okay.
yep.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, and then, but in the headline, put both, because, you know, that's what people see first, and it's, well, it's all searchable, but that's also what people see first.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, speaking of recruiters, I think it's tapered off, but I used to get a message a week or every other week from random recruiters who did not do the best job at looking at what my skill set was. Just ignore them, or have you got?
Just ignore them. Just,
All right.
unless it's something you're interested in, ignore them.
Okay. Yeah, and if they've attended university somewhere, more than a few thousand miles away, never mind, not connecting.
Yeah. Yeah. So. All right. I think it's after the hour here. Well, after the ending, 3:45, I think we're supposed to end. Any final questions or comments? You can just come off mute. Well, fill out the survey, because I'm always happy to get feedback, because, I'm always about improving and making sure I'm better and better every time. So definitely let me know. And if you have any specific questions, you have my email, or just send it to me on LinkedIn, and I will definitely get back to you.
Will this be on a replay somewhere? I joined late.
No worries at all. Yes, we do record these sessions, and then we post-produce them and upload them to our YouTube channel. So go to YouTube and follow us give us a follow, and you'll be alerted when this is uploaded.
Okay. Through the hosting group, YouTube follow.
Through the hosting group? I'm sorry, what?
Your venture group is doing the...
Yes, we do all this work. We'll bring it to you.
Yeah. So do the Venture Cafe.
Venture Cafe, yep. The Venture Cafe
Okay.
YouTube page. So, Angela, this has been a phenomenal session. Thank you for volunteering your time and your expertise. If I could just get a quick round of applause from the audience, this has been a wonderful time.
Thank you.
So our evening is not over. We've got Founders Over 55, Raising Capital, and how to manage your team with emotional intelligence at 5 o'clock. In the interim, please take that survey, and it's been a pleasure to have you here. See you next time.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.